Good evening, welcome to the latest live edition of Last World Boxing. Joined as ever by Ander. Good evening, Ander.
Evening, mate. You're right.
Yep, Sam, thank you. You?
All good, pal. Apart from it being freezing out.
Yeah. Well, you'll be a lot colder on Saturday in Leeds as well, but that's for
Yeah, tell me about it, yeah.
It won't be as cold as I was at Wembley, though, I might add. Yeah, experienced a few gremlins tonight, aren't we, Andy, by the looks of it? So apologies.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there.
So I'll start, so I'll finish. So tonight we're going to cover the Fury versus Chisora card and also the Dubois fight. Then we're going to move on and talk about the Leeds card at the weekend. And then finally we're going to touch on David Evanesian's fight with Terence Crawford later on. So we'll kick off with the Daniel Dubois fight, Andy. What were your thoughts about the way it panned out?
Jack, good evening, mate. Come and join us on screen. Well, as you know, Cole, I was quite vocal about the fact last week that I wasn't paying for it. And because of that, I only listened to it on the radio. So my opinion is coming from what I was hearing. And by the sounds of the TalkSport guys, and they were quite straight, to be honest with you. They weren't pulling any punches. Adam Cattrall, I like Adam Cattrall a lot. He's a very straight talking guy. He says it how he thinks it is, and he's not scared that it's going to offend whoever it's going to offend. But basically, he was saying Fury could have finished it whenever he wanted to finish it.
But we're talking about Dubois first, aren't we?
Oh, sorry, mate. Well, and what went? His knee, his ankle.
Yeah, they've not said yet, but obviously a leg injury.
It's very strange how that all panned out. I've heard a lot of things and seen a lot of things on social media, and they're saying the stoppage was sus. It shouldn't have been stopped the way it was stopped. This guy didn't get the time at the end of the round to recover. Normally, if someone gets knocked down at the end of a round, they give him a standing 8 count, and they send him back to his corner, let him come out for the next round. That didn't happen.
Evening, Jack.
Evening.
How did you? I mean, you were there, Carl. How did you see it?
Yeah, we'll let Jack come in first, and then I'll give my views last. So, Jack, we're just talking about Dubois fight.
Yeah, it was all a bit weird. I don't know if this actually happened or not. Like, I can't figure out if the clock on the TV was wrong or if they really did end the round that early. It seemed early, but I couldn't work out. So I'll ask you, Carl, because you were there, weren't you?
I was.
Did it seem early in the arena?
No.
So I wonder if the TV clock was off then. I don't see.
How far was the TV clock off, Jack?
Sorry?
How far was the TV clock off?
30. Was it? It was 20 seconds or something.
Right. So here's one then. So when there's 10 seconds left in the round,
yeah, that's why I was.
You hear that clack, don't you?
Yeah.
Did you hear that?
Yes.
I thought we had.
Well, you probably answered your own question.
I mean, it didn't fit. Nobody was crying out about it in the media box. Anyway, let's put it that way. Just coming back to the fight for a minute, I thought Dubois got caught cold in that first round. That was my honest opinion.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Did the injury happen when he went down the first time, Cole?
No. To be honest with you, Andy, it's very hard to tell when it happened because it was only afterwards. There was no obvious signs why he was boxing, was there? He wasn't limping or it was just. It was almost like his punch resistance had gone. You know, there's no way, with all due respect to his opponent, he should be knocking him down 3 times.
Could he have come into the ring like that?
I mean, we all know who his trainer is under. You know, the legend. Surely he's warming him up before coming into the ring. I don't.
Jack, you're making me feel seasick. Hold your phone still.
Yeah, sorry. I was trying to find somewhere to put my phone so that I could move.
Oh, that's all good like that, mate.
And just coming to the stoppage, I agree. The stoppage, they was very quick to call the fight off. Very quick. Good evening, Joe.
Evening, Joe.
So I think Daniel Dubois might have got away with one here a little bit, to be brutally honest.
Am I right in thinking though that when he was going down and taking a knee, he wasn't really hurt?
No, it didn't look that way. No.
Was it that he couldn't move because of his leg, and he was just stopping himself from taking shots he shouldn't really be taking?
I mean, you can't make too many assumptions, can you? But they didn't look like power shots that were putting him down. That's why I come back to his punch resistance. It was slightly alarming, to be honest.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking you whether he took the knee, like.
His mobility looked fine, Andy. His mobility looked fine. Like I said, there was no obvious sign of a leg injury. I don't know what it's like for you on the TV, Jack.
It looked more obvious at the end of the rounds. So when he was walking to the corner, it was obvious something wasn't right. But it wasn't as obvious when he was boxing. It was more when he was walking to the corner, you could tell.
I was just saying to Carl before he came on, Jack, that I made a point last week of saying that I didn't think the fight was worth the money and I wasn't going to be buying it. And I'm a man of my word, mate, and I didn't. So I only listened to the Talk Sport commentary, which didn't start until Del Boy was coming to the ring because the football was on prior to that. So I'm getting the Dubois stuff. I'm getting second hand. I still haven't seen any footage of it on YouTube or anything like that.
I'll be honest. I only watched the Dubois and the Fury fight. I didn't watch the rest of the card.
Right.
Well, I'm just going to read Joe's comment out. So Joe said he got caught on the top of the dome. Scrambles essentially can happen to anyone. So Joe, are you saying you don't think there's a leg injury in there?
Oh, there's some sort of injury to the leg. But...
Why have they not come out and said what it is though? That's the thing, isn't it? Why have they not? It's been a week almost. Why have they not come out and said?
Because they said on the night about him potentially needing surgery. One of the his trainer said about it on IFL, but I don't know. They said that he might need ankle surgery or something. I don't know if it would be that severe, because if it was, then surely he'd have already had.
What footwear was he wearing, Cole?
Oh, come on, Andy.
No, seriously. It's a serious question, because half of these boxers nowadays wear trainers. What was he wearing?
I didn't know. No, what I mean, I didn't notice what footwear he was wearing. I'm sure he's wearing the appropriate footwear.
Well, half of them don't, do they? Half of them come in trainers nowadays.
Well, I wouldn't say half of them. I've not seen many wearing trainers, to be honest with you. Not at the elite level, anyway.
I haven't seen that happen in a world title fight.
No.
Like, I'll be honest, that would be a bit odd.
Just asking you, because I didn't see it, did I? I'm asking. Just asking.
So, Joe said, I think the leg injury happened during the little dad dance after the shot, in my opinion. Yeah, he did go for a little dance. It's just, if on that performance, I mean, he's in with a blown up cruiserweight, to be honest, isn't it? I'm sure a lot of people are licking the lips at getting Daniel Dubois in that ring.
Can I just point out, what did I say on your show last week? Lorena would be a cherry pick gone wrong.
You did, Jack.
And that was because I know exactly how Lorena fights, and I knew exactly what he was going to do.
And also, Dubois just isn't that good. Like I've said before.
Too, yeah.
So...
Problem is, he's in at the deep end now, Cole, and all he's going to be getting
is... Well, it's not with that opponent, is it?
Well, that's because that opponent was handpicked. But you know, when he's got a fight mandatory, he's in the deep waters, isn't he?
Who's his mandatory WBA? Do we know?
It was supposed to be the winner of Fury Hunter. or he is Joshua's mandatory now.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
depends. I guess it depends.
Usyk's.
I guess it depends on which fight comes first. Does the Usyk fight come first, or does his mandatory come first?
No, so it's his choice. He can choose to give up the mandatory spot to the highest ranked WBA contender, which would be Hunter, I believe. Or he can
Is the Hunter Fury fight happening when Fury's better?
What?
But there's no time frame on when he will get better, though, is it? At the minute, I think that's a stumbling block.
I mean, yeah, in the situation, but then you've got the whole legal case with the IBF and WBA suing it. The WBA suing the IBF for jumping the queue.
Yeah, that could put a bit of a. Well, that's not going to stop the mandatory, is it? That's going to stop the shot at the title.
That would stop. It could stop the. Yeah, but it could mean that they actually have time to do that Fury Hunter fight for the mandatory, as opposed to just give Hunter the mandatory.
Yeah.
Or give Dubois the mandatory. It's that. And then the next one after those two, I believe, would be Lucas Brown.
Lucas Brown, behave.
Well, the British Boxing Board.
I genuinely think he is I think he is the next one in line for the regular.
But the British Boxing Board of Control unlikely to license him, are they, Jack?
No, and that's what the situation would be. So Dubois could end up getting stripped if he didn't fight Brown because the board wouldn't license him. The WBA would just strip him.
Well, he'd have to go and fight abroad then. He'd have to go and fight abroad then, wouldn't he, if that was the case?
Yeah, basically, he will. It would probably be a situation because Warren doesn't have American TV. It would probably be a case of Dubois having to go to Australia and fight
Warren he has got ESPN answer through Bob Arum if needed. I'm sure they can work it out.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose he has a relationship with Arum that could allow that to happen.
Yeah. I think
that's saying if ESPN wanted to pay for that fight, that's a problem.
If it's Michael Hunter, they will do, Carl.
You won't do if it's Brown, though, will they?
No. Well, yeah, but if it's Hunter can fight in the UK.
Yeah. Good point.
That's the whole thing. Is
question for you then, Jack.
Yeah.
Let's assume Michael Hunter fights Hughie Fury. Firstly, who wins that?
I personally think Hughie Fury, but
and then so if Hughie Fury wins that, does Hughie Fury beat Daniel Dubois?
This won't take long.
For me, yes. For me,
so basically, what we're saying is, then if it all pans out, Hughie Fury's next in line for Usyk.
Yeah, but he doesn't beat.
I'm assuming we're all agreeing with that statement.
On that performance on Saturday, Daniel Dubois has done nothing to convince me, and I've said it for weeks and weeks and weeks. As soon as he jumps in with not even an elite level, a world level opponent, they'll beat him.
I would say Hughie Fury is a fringe world level opponent, and I say he beats
Dubois,
yeah. And do you know what? We're all in agreement that Hughie Fury doesn't beat Usyk, so it's kind of a pointless merry-go-round to get to a fight.
But unfortunately, mate, you've got two elite fighters in this division, and not many people are going to beat either of them.
There's two elite, and there's one that's probably, I would argue, is very, very close to it.
And that's Joyce.
Joyce beats Usyk.
Joyce. That's who I was saying. Joyce is, because I want to see Joyce in with one of the other two, just to see if he really. That's how I would know if he's that level.
Here's the way I take those three fights. Those three fighters. Joyce won't lay a glove on Tyson Fury. He'll try all night long, but Tyson Fury will just pepper him because Joyce is lack of movement. But the Usyk fight's a lot closer because of the size.
Yes.
And I don't think Usyk's big enough to keep Joyce off all night long. Is he big enough to box and win the fight? Yes. Is he skilled enough, to box and win the fight? Yes. That's a very, very, very close fight, and I don't know how to call it, if I'm being honest.
So, in the sidebar, Joe says Fury would have beaten Usyk by the time this plays out, and Fury will vacate the belts.
Yeah, you're right, Joe.
I mean, that's true. that could all.
If that fight gets made, which it looks like it's going to, don't it?
I think
it's about done, they reckon, don't they?
I think that this court thing might keep the IBF on the line as well. I think if the WBA really are serious about taking it to court and blocking the IBF going with the Hrgovic fight, that could allow us to have undisputed. In which case, can somebody please praise the WBA for once?
Yeah. It needs to happen, Jack. It needs to happen. It's been way too long.
Yeah.
It needs to happen, and then like Joe says, let's splinter the belts up because Fury won't keep the belts. I don't think. Let's splinter the belts up, and even if he does keep them, he'll get forced to vacate at least one.
Well, he's not going to fight 4 mandatory. Just keep going round, is he?
No, of course he's not. Of course he's not. So they will get split up, which I think is good for. I think that's good for the sport. It's good for the heavyweight division, and then we start again, don't we? Which is great then, because you get 4 world titles, you get 4 champions potentially, and then they go fight each other, which makes for great fights.
And it's the start of a new era, really.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Yeah,
because I don't think Fury sticks around once he's won all 4. I think once he's won all 4, it will almost be. He might do the Joshua fight just to say, "Thanks, there you go. I've beaten everyone. What are you going to say now?" And then walk off.
Yeah.
So that brings us perfectly on to Tyson Fury. So obviously Tyson Fury fought Dubois. It played out as much as we all thought it was going to play out, to be honest.
I'll stop you there. Fought, really?
Well, what I would say, just one thing I would like to say, obviously I was there.
Yeah.
All this, and I've got to say, because we give Warren a lot of stick, all this nonsense that Eddie Hearn was putting out, that they've sold no tickets, blah, 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 blah.
Oh, no, it's sold.
Well, I'm telling you that the stadium was virtually full. So, just to put that one to bed, they did shift some tickets. And, as an entrance and a spectacle, there's probably
I like Fury's ring walk, I'll be honest, because I quite like the songs he used.
Yeah, it was class. It was class. They did a good job. But coming to the fight, I thought Fury could have took him out in round 1, if I'm being honest.
Same.
It was I thought I know Andy, you listened to it on the radio, but I understand Talk Sport were quite critical of Andy, weren't they, regarding the fight?
Yeah. So obviously you've got Jack Catterall, you've got Gareth A. Davis, and Spencer.
Adam Catterall.
Sorry,
Adam Catterall, not
Adam Catterall. Jack Catterall's completely different.
Adam Catterall, Spencer Oliver, and Gareth A. Davis. Gareth A. Davis is a little bit biased, let's say. I think I'm being kind there. He's a little bit biased towards Tyson Fury.
Yeah, a little bit.
While the fight was going on, he was adamant that Tyson Fury was not taking his foot off the gas.
What?
He wasn't. Adam Catterall was basically calling it down the line and saying, look, this is getting a bit uncomfortable now. Can someone stop the fight? Chisora Corner should be pulling him out. Or Tyson Fury should just end the misery. He was being straight, and so was Spencer Oliver at the end. Coming into the last couple of rounds, Spencer Oliver was saying the same thing. Adam Catterall, done it again. Gareth A. Davis, though, he was kind of towing the line and saying, "Oh no, Tyson Fury's not taking it lightly. Dubois tough, blah 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 blah." He was just getting beat up one time. He is tough. He's just getting beat up one time.
Yeah, he took. For me personally, what should have happened? His corner should have pulled him. His corner should have pulled him at the point where he couldn't win the fight anymore. His shots were just having no impact on Tyson Fury whatsoever. He should have pulled him.
There was one shot that Chisora landed in the fight where I went, "Oh, if he gets him a few more with a couple more of them, this could be interesting." And it was in the 4th round, and Fury was almost sort of trying to look over at the corner to go, "Are you going to do something about this?" And as he did it, Chisora caught him on the side of the ear, and I thought, you know what? If he catches him with that a little bit higher, this could get interesting. But he never got near him again after it.
So Joe said he carried Chisora better than I carried him Mrs. Shopping.
I mean, have you ever heard? You've heard me talk about it. I know you too. when you're at shows and you have journeymen and they carry in the prospect. Well, Fury was effectively carrying someone at a world title fight, which is somehow possible. I don't even know, like trying to carry Chisora through, and I don't understand.
You know what annoys me is there's so many outlets have been scared to call this fight for what it is. So many outlets have been scared to say this is what it is because they're scared that they're going to get a backlash from Fury or from Chisora or from BT.
I haven't got a problem with it from Chisora's side. If you get offered that money and you get offered a world title shot, take it. If you're ranked in the top 15,
what I'm saying though, Jack, is it shouldn't have been a world title fight. It shouldn't have been for a world title because Chisora's not at that level anymore.
Although there's only one person to blame for that, and it's not Tyson Fury or Derek Chisora. It's the WBC. If you want to have that conversation.
Why is it?
They're the one who's got him ranked in the top 15.
And they propelled him into that. They propelled him up the ranks into the top 15, didn't they? From nowhere.
Yeah, but come on, lads. Let's call.
Right.
Come on. Let's call it for what it is.
Tyson Fury top 15 for months, like way months before this was talked about.
Tyson Fury and Frank Warren chose Derek Chisora.
Oh yeah, they chose him, but you can pick anyone in the top 15. If Usyk wants to and he wants a takeover fight, he can pick Lucas Brown.
No, I get that. I understand that, Jack. Jack, I understand that. But then if you do pick these fighters, you've got to expect the paying public are going to have their opinion. And the fact of the matter is they don't want to hear the opinion. They don't want you to be negative. They want you to say it's a great fight. It's not a great fight. Why should we say it's a great fight if it's not?
No, I'm not saying it was a great fight. I'm just saying, but we can't slag off Chisora or Fury for it because Fury's got the right to pick anyone in the top 15.
I understand that. I know he has.
Chisora, if you're in Chisora's position, you have to take.
You've got to take the fight. Of course, you've got to, Jack. I'm not saying Chisora should turn around and say, "I'm not worthy of a world title shot." Of course, he's going to take it.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is the fight should not have happened for a world title. If you want to fight, then fight, but don't fight for a world title because you're degrading the world title.
It does show what Paul Tyson Fury's got, though, don't it? That he can still put 60,000 into Tottenham for that sort of.
I mean, God knows how he managed that.
Of course, absolutely. That just goes to show he can fight anybody and he fell anywhere.
That goes to show he's way more popular than when he had the 3 world titles, isn't he? Because he couldn't have done that even after the Klitschko win.
He's a different person, though, Jack. Now into.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He's actually got to that mainstream appeal now, whereas he didn't have that before.
Yeah.
And people who say he hasn't got it, no, he has. Like, he's there now.
Well, he's singing songs, selling books. Well, what else do you need to prove?
I genuinely reckon, give it when he does retire, he'll probably end up on flipping I'm a Celebrity or something because he's that sort of mad.
I don't think they'll be able to afford him.
What?
Nah, I kind of fear for Tyson Fury when he actually retires for good. I don't know what he'd do with himself.
He's gonna have to work that one out, isn't he? And quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. He just seems like he could hit a self-destruct button a little bit like Mike Tyson did when he went.
He's one of them characters, Jack, and he said it himself. He's very conscious of it. He's one of them characters that he needs something to focus on, and boxing's that thing. Boxing's that drug into it. Boxing's that thing for him.
Yeah.
When he finally does retire, I mean, he could have 4 or 5 fights easily left.
The one thing I would say is though the marketability of the guy. He talks and people listen, don't they?
Yeah.
He's got that quality where he walks into the room and he dominates the room. The press conference afterwards, check it out on the channel if you've not done. He's absolute gold when he starts talking about Usyk, coin of a rabbit, and things like that.
Oh, I how was that? Like, because I'm assuming you were ringside, Carl, from where you.
No, I was in the press box, Jack. They put all the press in the press box.
Oh, right. Because I was going to ask, because I was going to say, what was the reaction like down or where you were when the Usyk Fury stuff was going on with them up at ringside.
There's just a lot of. I mean, every time Usyk come on the big screen, they'd boo him.
Oh yeah.
But then when they went nose to nose ringside, it was electric. It's the only way to say it.
I mean,
I'm just going to pick a couple of comments up from Larry Liston. Good evening, Larry. Larry says that Dubois fight looked incredibly weird. Not saying anything, but very weird. Lorana wasn't throwing punches in the second round. Larry goes on to say Carl was completely correct on Dubois. He has to be cashed out soon. Will never be a world champion for sure. No art at all.
Well, he kind of is a world champion, but that's a side note.
So, are we done on Fiore? Shall we move on?
Yeah.
So, Andy can take this one. So, at the weekend, Andy's going to break his virginity with DAZN cards and head off to Leeds to cover the DAZN Leeds card. So, Andy normally takes us through these cards when we've got a big one coming up. So, Andy, over to you.
Firstly, before we go through the card, this is kind of a one-off event in that you've got boxing on from 1 or 2 till 7. We're then stopping for football for England. They're putting the fight on the big screen in the arena until the games finish, which they've got it down to be finished for 9, obviously. For them, Felix Casher
This is England. This is England. It'll probably go to penalties.
Yeah, if it does, mate, then I've got a long night ahead, haven't I?
Yeah, you have. I'll be honest.
Yeah, you think that's hilarious, don't you, Carl? Great stuff.
Oh,
it's 1-1, Andy, for the weekend. Isn't it? Come on, be fair. I had a long day in London.
I mean, you have to go.
Yeah. So firstly, before we go through the card, what's your feelings on what Matchroom are doing here?
I think it's the only choice they've got to do, isn't it? They're looking after the ticket sales, aren't they? I like the concept. I think you'll be in a raucous Leeds arena. Majority of boxing fans are football fans. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how it's going to go. I'm not sure how it's going to go if France beat England. That might be an interesting scenario in the stadium. But yeah, I think it's a good concept. Eddie Hearn's going full kit. On the night, he tells me a full kit W. He uses the word. I won't use it on here. So he's embracing it. But I think Eddie Hearn's a marketing genius. I think it's another good masterstroke from Eddie Hearn, really. Yeah.
Jack?
Right. So this is it. I actually don't mind the idea, but I do think it's the sort of thing DAZN and Matchroom could get away with, but a small hall promoter never would. I think a bigger promoter can get away with it. I don't think you would be allowed to do it as a smaller promoter.
That's maybe because a lot of these leisure centres and small arenas that small hall shows are in, they have a curfew time, don't they? Because they're all in cities.
I mean,
they're all in built up as
I'll give you an example. There's one venue we use in the Northeast who the owner gets on really well with a particular promoter. I still don't think we'd be allowed to do it.
Right, okay.
I still don't think we'd be allowed to do it. But because I know there was a small hall show during there was a couple, but during the first the England USA game, and they just in the end just put it on. Funny enough, it was at Ellen Road, one of them, and they actually put it on the sort of screens in the banqueting hall, but they just didn't ask the board because they knew the board would say no, so they just did it.
It's not only the board's call though, is it? It's a local council's call as well, isn't
it? No, yeah, but the board, the board are the ones that put the suggestion to the local council. So if they say no before you even get there, you're done.
But ultimately, though, what I'm saying is the local council's going to have to rubber stamp it because it's part of the licensing, I'd imagine.
No, so somewhere like Ellen Road, because it's already a sporting venue, don't need it.
Do you want to pick that? you want to pick that comment up from Joe? He makes a really good point.
Yep. So Joe said, bad move. This all them Leeds fans tanked up all afternoon. Then watching England get beat. It's going off. Well, there's some patriotism for you, Joe. I'm assuming you're English, fella. Maybe you might be Scottish, though.
He might be Australian listening to this show.
I think he has a point because the boxing's starting at 1:30. Now, don't get me wrong. The venue won't be full at 1:30. The venue won't get full till probably England kick off, if I'm being completely honest. There's a couple of good fights, though, prior to football.
I mean, what about if Warrington was to get sports out as well, Andy?
Oh, Jesus. If that happens, mate, I tell you what, here's my prediction. If that happens, I'll be out of that building before Warrington lands on the floor.
If Warrington... I was at Warrington Lara 2 when it got called off, and you could have... The reaction in the arena... I was at Headingley, right? And the reaction in the place, I thought, I need to get out of here now because I'm going to die. And
I mean, me and Carl have been to some raucous atmospheres, and you can feel the tension in the air, can't you? At some fights.
I mean,
there's always that chance.
The second one was like that.
There's always that chance when you do something like this. Everyone gets very, very emotional when it comes to England, and if they've had a few pints by that point, Joe might be right. It might get a bit naughty.
We've got. I'm actually doing a show this weekend where we've got We've got a fighter on the card, and a fighter that he really wants to fight is sat ringside, and I'll enlighten you later on who that is. And that could all. And I'm just thinking, if England went out the day before, it could all go a bit wrong with everyone being there. But England brings out emotion in people, doesn't it?
Yeah, it is what it is, mate. You see, it's going to do one or two things. England's either going to win, and the atmosphere is going to be electric all night long, or they're going to lose, and the atmosphere is going to be dead flat.
It's either one or two things. What, England win or England lose?
No, I'm on about atmosphere-wise, Carl. I'm on about atmosphere-wise.
I could have told him that.
It's either I don't actually think it'll get nasty. I think it'll either be electric, or it'll be dead flat. And the evening will just come to
be honest, I actually think they could go a bit like that, even if Bridges, a bit like the Warrington one, even if Bridges loses, which I don't think is happening.
Yeah, we'll get onto that. That's a really interesting fight, isn't it? Let's quickly go through some of the undercard. There's 10 fights. I'm not going to go through all of them. I'll pick the ones that I think are probably the most interesting. So Shannon Courtney is back out after that. I don't know what you call it. Unprofessionalism, would we say? Not making weight and losing a title on the scales before she even fought Jamie Mitchell. She obviously loses to Jamie Mitchell. Now Jamie Mitchell's been beat, hasn't she?
Yeah.
Nina Hughes says thank you very much. Congratulations on becoming the next British world champion.
Yep. Which makes a very interesting fight, because can you see her fighting Shannon Courtney coming up?
Nina would fight anyone. I'll make no secret of this. I work quite closely with her manager when he does his promotional shows.
Leeton, come on, you can name him.
Oh,
Jack.
right, okay. I didn't know if you wanted me to name it. Lee.
That's all right.
Yeah, Lee. And then I genuinely believe he is open to her fighting anyone. I think he actually put it out on social media the other day. This is a fight we'd take and we'd want.
Well, Nina usually just signed with Matchroom, hasn't she?
Yeah.
So it makes sense, don't it? To be honest.
And he also manages Dina Thorsland, who's the other one of the other champions in that division.
Looks like we've got some unifications coming up then, don't it?
Well, yeah. When we get onto the Bridges fight, I'll mention some stuff to do with that.
I know you will. Yeah. So she's fighting Gemma Rudd.
Gemma Ruig.
How do you pronounce it, Jack?
Gemma Ruig.
Right. What do you know about her?
She's the same girl who beat Kate Radamanska when I was the thing, but she's actually a super flyweight on flyweight, so I'm a bit confused her fighting at bantam, but okay. But she's a hard night's work for people. She beat Kate Radamanska, who people thought was going to fight for the European title after beating her in an 8-rounder, and that ruined that plan because she beat her. She's been in with some really tough people.
Yeah, she lost to Shannon Ryan, didn't she?
Yeah, and she did lose that fight. It wasn't like it was a thing, but I think she's a lot tougher of a test than some of the people they could have got for her.
I just think Shannon Courtney's not very likable, though. She doesn't endear herself to the boxing fans. I don't know why I feel that.
I've only ever seen the public persona of her. I don't know I did like the interview she gave recently, where she was a lot more honest. I think Bridges commented on it, or was it Bridges that commented, or someone like that commented about it.
Yeah, well, to be fair, she said today that she's had 2 operations, and she was told at one point she wouldn't box again. So maybe it might have humbled her a little bit.
I think it has. I don't know. We'll see if she wins a world title again. I think that will be the test of how humble she really is, because everyone's humble when they've got nothing, but are people still humble when they have the world? You know.
Yeah. I see that in Andy now he's got a bit. He's gone a bit. But some of his comments on Twitter today were outrageous.
Easy. So prediction, Carl. Prediction for the Courtney fight.
Yeah, Shannon Courtney will come through this. I think she'll stop the opponent round 7. I'm going for
Jack.
I don't think she'll stop her, but I'm going to say a wide unanimous decision.
She's been out for a year, hasn't she? And been off doing stuff like celebrity SAS and bits and bobs. I don't know how focused she is. I'll be honest.
I think she'll beat Ruig because Ruig's Gemma's above her natural weight, but I don't think she'll stop her. I think she's still very tough even at that weight.
I'm happy to go along with that, guys. I'm happy to go along with that. I think it's an odd night's work though, because I don't think she's on it. But we'll see. That might have been a wake up call losing the world title the way she did. Okay, swiftly moving on. Rhiannon Dixon's fighting Christine Shergold. Jack, we'll come to you for this one.
You basically want to know something about Christine Shergold. She's done okay on the small halls. I'll let Carl or Andy, if someone's got her record in front of them.
7-6-1.
I was going to say, yeah, she's been a bit even. I think she's boxed some decent people, but I don't see that she'll lose the fight, win the fight. Sorry, I think she's just there as almost a keep busy opponent at this point in her career.
Do you see Rhiannon Dixon coming through this quite comfortably then?
Yeah, I wouldn't. Now that one, it wouldn't surprise me if Dixon did stop her.
Yeah.
Because,
yeah, I think that's how it's been set up.
Yeah.
You get a lot of this stage in the career for certain fighters, don't you? Carl, do you see it the same way?
Yeah, I like Rhiannon Dixon. She's trained by Crawler, who I think is coming up on the rails as a very good trainer. She talks about wanting the Commonwealth title next year, and she wants to stay active. So I think this is just a tick-over fight. She got injured, didn't she, at the beginning of 2022, and she's kind of making up for lost time a little bit.
I'm curious, though. What weight is that at? Shergold jumps about.
I think it's lightweight, isn't it?
Sorry?
Is it lightweight?
Oh, right. Okay, yeah. That would make sense then. Okay. Because I know Shergold can make super feather. That's why I'm wondering.
Yeah, I think it's lightweight.
Joe says Shannon Courtney by knockout, showing them new SAS fighting skills. Hashtag who dares wins.
Oh, Joe, you make me laugh, fella. On that note, we'll move on to what will be a very, very, very good fight, and I think it's going under the radar because of the main and the co-main. JJ Metcalf against Courtney Pennington from the USA. Like any fighter from the States, Pennington's coming in with lots and lots of confidence. Says he's going to steal the show. And let's have it right. JJ Metcalf is never in a dull fight. He's had some wars as well, but let's give him some credit for his performance out in Spain to rip that WBA Continental title away. Lajaraga is his name, I think, the Spanish guy beat.
WBA Continental? I thought it was European.
No, Continental, I'm sure it is.
Oh, it might well have been.
Nobody expected him to win that fight, did they?
No. No one expected him to win that fight. The performance was brilliant, Carl. Best of his career.
Yeah.
Question is, can he repeat that performance against Courtney Pennington?
Let's be honest, we don't know how good this kid is coming over from America, do we? No one's seen much of him, let's be brutally honest. He's talking a good game. If he can fight anywhere near how good he talks, we're in for a barnstormer.
I've seen a 30-second clip of him, and I'm a matchmaker, so that should tell you how much footage there is of him.
Yeah, his record's not brilliant either. 16-5-3 with 7 KOs.
He's almost a gatekeeper in America then, because
it seems that way, mate. But then again, you just never know with American fighters. Have they matched him too hard too soon, and that's why he's got the defeats on his record?
No idea.
I suppose we're gonna see. We all know what JJ Metcalf's all about. We know what level he's at. I mean, Eddie Hearn's talking. If he comes through this, he's got a good shot at a world title.
I mean, yeah, he'd definitely be in the top 15 of. I think he already is in the top 15 of most governing bodies, isn't he?
Yeah, with that belt, mate, he will be. Yeah.
You know what you're getting from JJ Metcalf, don't you?
Absolutely, mate. Complete guts.
I mean, he's a nightmare to match against journeyman because he still somehow manages to have a flipping war with them, and you don't know how he manages that. You could literally put him in with a guy who has never had a war in his career, and he'll somehow have a war with them, and you're like, sat there going, how do you make sense? But he's so
that Cheeseman fight. What a war that was.
Yeah.
Oh, that was
What a great fight that was. Okay.
So we've got someone joining us called Jimmy. Jimmy, I don't know if you want to come off mute. We're getting a bit of interference, but welcome to the show.
Salute, lads. How's everyone doing?
Yeah, we're sound. We're getting a bit of interference off you when your audio's on, Jimmy. I don't know if we can sort that out.
Are you okay now? Am I good now?
No, we can still hear it, fella.
Are you moving your phone about, Jimmy? Would that be it?
No, I'm driving right now. Just give me a second. I'll jump back in.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay, while we're waiting, Carl, predictions for the Metcalf fight.
Yeah, so it's difficult, isn't it? Because we don't. Again, I've not seen nothing in this Courtney Pennington, but I'd expect. I'm going to go Metcalf, and I'm going to go for a points win.
Still getting that interference now.
Metcalf points win, Andy.
Jack, how about you?
I'm going to go the same. I haven't seen enough of Pennington to have much of an opinion on it, I'll be honest. Like 1 30-second clip is all I've managed to find because I was just curious to find out if he was actually any good. So,
predictions in the sidebar, Joe. Boxing historian, are you seeing this fight with JJ Metcalf? Okay, while they're typing away, we'll move on to Felix Cash against Celso Neves, is it? Neves?
I think that fight might be off.
Why?
There was 2 that have been called off today, and I can't remember. I feel like that's one of them.
It's funny you should say that, Jack, because Felix Cash was on the presser, but the opponent wasn't.
Yeah, so I think that might be off. You might want to double check.
Felix Cash was the most unlucky boxer around at the minute for postponement.
They'll get him a replacement, Carl. They'll get him a replacement. He's been out too long. They'll get him somebody.
I think it was him that announced that it was off. Someone has definitely put out recently that their fight is off, and I swear it was Felix Cash. There's two, and I can't remember.
Well, he's talking about fighting Amo Williams next, isn't he? So he can't be jumping straight into that fight.
No.
It would be a strange
Eddie, I
decision
mean, to be honest with you, Eddie did mention something at the presser, like tongue in cheek to Felix Cash, and maybe that's what they were talking about. I mean, I hope it's not, because he's having such bad luck.
Yeah, I've got a funny feeling he is off, but I don't.
That'll be a crying shame if that's the case.
If it is, it's a real shame, because I actually quite enjoy watching Felix Cash.
He's turning into a very good pro inter.
Yeah.
But very, very inactive. That's the only problem.
Yeah, that's his downfall, mate. And it's going to hurt him in the long run. It's going to hurt him. He's a sort of fighter that needs to be motivated. I mean, look at what he did to Denzel Bentley, and look where Denzel Bentley's gone now.
The thing with Felix Cash for me, right? And you might tell me, I struggle because of his inactivity to figure out what level he actually is. Because is he world level? Is he British level? Is he?
Well, he's better than British level, mate, because he destroyed Denzel Bentley. Like I've just said, look where Denzel Bentley's gone.
I mean, yeah, true.
I think he's if he's active and he's getting fights, I think he's borderline world level, because there's not a lot going off in that division.
So he's a fringe world level contender.
I think so at the moment. But he needs to be active. He needs to be fighting.
Yeah.
I think he's got all the ability, mate. I really do. Well, how do you see it, Carl?
I'm a bit with Jack. I think the jury's still out for me a little bit on Felix Cash. I take your point on I'm beating Denzel Bentley, but yeah, the jury's still out a little bit for me. I mean, Amo Williams is a really good fighter. If he was to beat Amo Williams, I think that's a big sign. But he's talking about wanting to jump in with elite middleweights. Well, he needs to get more active then.
Apparently,
sorry, Jack.
Go on. He volunteered to fight Eubank.
Yeah.
Now, I'd heard that from a couple of people. He volunteered to jump in with Eubank, and somebody else didn't. I can't remember who the other one was. And Eubank wouldn't fight him, and the other one, Hearn, just said straight away, like, that's not happening.
Right.
And I can't remember who it was.
So Joe in the sidebars put, he needs to leave Matchroom. They've never given him a push. One of the more talented fighters on their roster. I'm assuming you're talking about Felix Cash.
Well, I assume so, but
so if he does get a bit of a tune-up call, and then he goes in with Amo Williams next, does he beat him?
I don't think he beats Amo Williams.
I don't know, because I still don't know what level he is, so I'm confused. It's an interesting fight, though.
I really rate Amo Williams. I really do, and I think he beats Felix Cash.
Yeah. This is a case of like Joe's just said. This is a case of having too many fighters, not having enough shows to put them on, not doing enough with them, not pushing them enough, because all your focus is on one or two people at the top end of your roster. It says he tried jumping back on, Carl. Okay. Let's assume Felix Cash is off then. So we won't take predictions. Let's move on to the Battle of Oz. This has warmed up nicely on social media. I think no one's had to promote this, have they? I mean, what a fight it's turning out to be. So obviously Ebony Bridges against Shannon O'Connell. If you look at records, Shannon O'Connell's got so much more experience than Ebony Bridges. Obviously, Ebony Bridges only had 9 fights.
There's obvious needle there, Andy, because O'Connell believes that Bridges has been gifted a way up the up the chain, doesn't she? That's the truth of it. She's had to do it the hard way. And
Yeah,
Ebony Bridges has been able to do it the easy way.
Yeah, she doesn't like it, does she, Carl? Let's have it right.
No.
And whether she's right or wrong, I think she's a bit disrespectful, to be honest. You know, I think she ought to be giving Ebony Bridges credit for the fact that she's come from nowhere and she's won a world title in 9 fights. Now, whether you like how she got that shot is another matter. That's a different conversation. But at the end of the day, she was probably picked for the Shannon Courtney fight because of her profile, right? But she proved in the Shannon Courtney fight what bottle she had and that she could fight. Because if she'd got, let's put it like this, right? If she'd got blown out by Shannon Courtney in a round, we'd never have heard from her again. She'd gone back to Australia. She wouldn't have got another fight on Matchroom. She'd have been fighting over there on Australian cards. Well, she proved herself on that card, so that's why Eddie Hearn gave her another shot.
So let's bring Jimmy in on his thoughts on the Ebony Bridges fight and let's see what the audio is like. So, Jimmy, can you hear us okay? Are you there, Jimmy?
We're struggling a bit tonight, aren't we, Carl?
We are with Jimmy, yeah. So just while Jimmy works it out, Jack, give us your thoughts on the fight.
Personally, it's a fight that should never be happening. Really, there should have been a unification. Now, I'm not going to say...
Jack, tell us what you know.
I can't obviously name names because that's going back. But I know for a fact that there was one champion willing to fight her. And I think she's been public that she'll fight anyone. And it's not Nina, so I'm not going to... Because Nina won the belt, fair enough. But, there was another one of those champions willing to fight her. And the IBF rules say that unifications trump mandatories. The IBF jumped their own rules to get O'Connell the fight for whatever their reasons were. Now, so O'Connell's... I had a debate with someone today, and I saw somebody else put it out as well, that O'Connell was actually ranked by the WBC and could have had a shot by now, but she waited for the shot with Bridges. But yet she didn't chase Bridges, apparently. She could have had a shot with the WBC before now, but she chose to wait for the IBF and Bridges. So fair enough. If she wants to fight Bridges, just say that. Don't say that this is my way of getting a world title shot, because you could have had a world title shot. You chose that opponent.
So Jack, I'm going to ask you something now.
Yeah.
So Sharon O'Connell's been slating Bridges for the way she got to a world title, the way she's come into boxing. Like Carl said, she's not had it. She's not had it hard like O'Connell thinks she's had it. But what you're saying there is you think that O'Connell could have had a world title shot against somebody else, and she's decided to wait to fight Bridges because, in her opinion, Bridges is an easier fight. Is that what you're saying?
I don't know if it's because Bridges is an easier fight or a bigger payday or what, but for whatever reason, she's decided that she wanted to fight Bridges.
I mean, could it just be because she's Australian and it's going to get better press over there?
Possibly, but just say that then. Don't pretend that this was your easiest, your only way to get a world title, because it wasn't. Right. If she actually said that, I'd have more respect for her. And if she'd said, "Look, I wanted a world title shot against Ebony Bridges," fair enough. If it's genuinely because she doesn't like Bridges, fair enough. Not everyone has to like anyone, but don't pretend.
That is kind of how she's been peddling it as well, Jack, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is how I get a world title shot. Sorry, mate. There's been some real nasty stuff said between the two. I think Skanky Stripper was one of them.
I think it's just jealousy, though. With Ebony, you've got a really attractive woman making money, a lot of fans, and a lot of women. They do get jealous.
Mate,
Jimmy, give us that again.
Jimmy?
on the lake.
We're definitely struggling with that audio, aren't we?
Well, with him anyway.
Carl, give us your take, mate.
Yeah, so I think this will be a good fight. I think O'Connell will come over to win clearly. She knows it's a cup final, and it is. Let's be honest.
Can you guys hear me?
If she doesn't win this, she'll probably have to go again. So, although I didn't rate Ebony Bridges to start with, I think she's getting better and better in the Tibbs gym. So I think Bridges is going to win this. I can see it going to points though. I can see it going to points. I think it's going to be a good hard scrap.
I think Bridges stops her, and then it's unification season.
You think Bridges stops her?
I think Bridges will stop O'Connell, yeah. Because I think O'Connell's head has gone. I think she's so amped up with how much she hates Bridges, I think she'll come forward. And if the one way you don't fight Ebony Bridges is coming forward, like if O'Connell was clever, and funny enough, if she's watching this, she can have this advice for free. Box her.
She won't do that, mate.
Fight.
She won't do that. I think you're right. She's that hyped up. She's gonna stand and trade from the first bell.
If she stands and trade, she'll get knocked out.
Ebony Bridges punches hard, don't she?
Bridges punches very hard.
She's got limitations though, hasn't she, Bridges? Let's not say she hasn't.
Yeah, I think what you just said there, Carl, about the fact that she's come on loads and loads since she's been down London. I mean, what more commitment can people expect from her to move house from Australia to settle in London and be full time with Mark Tibbs?
Yeah.
And she has massively improved. Massively improved since the Shannon Courtney fight. It's night and day. I mean, she only spent, I think it was something like 8 weeks before the world title fight with Mark Tibbs. So she's had a good long camp this time. I think we'll see even more improvement, but we'll see. I mean, I don't know enough about Shannon O'Connell to say what sort of a challenge she's going to create.
She's making the right noises, isn't she?
Yeah.
Have you got O'Connell's box rec up?
Yes.
Right.
23 6 and 1 jack.
Yeah, no, I know what her record is. I'm just scroll down it though.
Oh no, sorry, no, I've not got box check up now. No.
All right, sorry, I thought you had. So I was going to say, look at the people she's beat. There are some names on there that are half decent, but they're all names she's lost to.
Yeah.
There's one win on there that's okay. I went, yeah. To be fair, that's decent, but other than that, a lot of the names are people that are sort of 2 or 3 fights. And she was way more experienced than them at the time.
So do you think Shannon O'Connell is falling foul of what a lot of boxing fans have done up until recently, and that they look at Ebony Bridges for her assets other than the boxing assets, and
what do you mean by assets?
Very, very politically correct there, weren't you?
I was going to say, what do you mean by assets, Andy?
Well, for everything that she does outside of boxing, Cole, you know, she uses a social media really well. I mean, you can't say that she hasn't built her own profile. She wouldn't have got to the position that she's in within boxing if she had not built that profile up first. I think Shannon Courtney's overlooking her boxing talent and thinking that she's had it that easy, that she's basically walked to a world title and she can't box, and that's not the case, is it?
No, because the girl she fought wasn't a mug. The girl she fought for the world title.
No.
And I mean, if I'm looking at this, I think the winner of this, the world is open to you. Although, I think the telling thing for me is if Shannon O'Connell does win this, will she have go for the unifications, or will she just take the belt back to Australia and do and do what some champions have done in the past and just hold the belt over there?
No, she'll want to earn as much money as she can while she's got the belt, and that means fighting in the UK. I'll answer that for you.
Well, Choi didn't do it.
Choice
Yeah,
still not doing it.
Yeah, but Ebony Bridges did. As in mincing it for all it's worth. Choi's a unique fight. Well, I will use the word unique. The Choi situation's unique. Most fighters, when they come from abroad and look at the Americans, Chris Shields and in terms of female boxing, Jack, the UK is where the money is.
I know that, but the thing with Choi is she's actually beaten O'Connell.
But nobody knows who she is.
That's what my point is. Choi's actually beaten O'Connell, and we're just saying Choi's avoided fighting anyone. So that's interesting.
Yeah, and that's why nobody knows who she is, and she can't get a decent paycheck.
Yeah.
You probably find that that's more to do with the promoters and the management that are stopping her from fighting anyone.
Well, no, because she, like Jack said, Ebony Bridges was able to self-promote.
Yeah.
So I don't wear that one either.
I think a lot of the disrespect from Bridges somewhat comes from a certain select group of people that she's upset because of her links with a certain other fighter. And that,
Jesus, Jack, you're going incognito there, aren't you?
You know exactly what I'm saying, and I'm trying not to get the world and their next door neighbour on your backs. You know,
I've had it all day long, Jack.
Oh, I know.
Another day going to matter.
I'm tagged in the damn thing, aren't I? So
Joe in the side. I'm just going to swerve this one. Let's move on. So Joe in the sidebar says, I'm guessing there's a rematch room clause if Bridges gets beat.
No, there isn't, as far as I'm aware.
I'd be surprised.
I don't think O'Connell will give her one because she said already she won't. But there might be a rematch room in that the winner will fight Nina, having just signed for Matchroom in a
UK. So Four says, otherwise known as Jimmy. He apologised about the quality of his Wi-Fi. No problem, Jimmy. We'll see you on the next show, fella. He thinks Ebony's favourite. Ebony's his favourite female boxer.
Fair enough.
I think you just got to give credit where credit's due now. There was a lot of people saying she hadn't earned her stripes, and maybe there was an argument for that. But now she's done what she's done. This is obviously her first defence. If she comes through this fight, then surely people have got to start giving her the credit she deserves.
Yeah. Then it is about what sort of champion she'll be. Is she going to go for the unifications?
She will, mate. Yeah.
And
will.
I believe that the reason that Matchroom signed Nina Hughes is because they're not sure who wins that fight, but they'll make that fight.
Yeah. Do you think the Shannon Courtney-Nina Hughes fight happens before Nina Hughes gets in with the winner of this?
I think Eddie Hearn's desperate to make Shannon Courtney versus Ebony Bridges too, but he's conscious that Courtney needs to rebuild to get to that position.
I think they're more likely to go one of the other routes with her, unless they're 100% sure that she beats Nina, and I don't think she does. I don't think Courtney beats Nina.
So in the
sidebar, I'm biased on that, but
sorry, Jack. In the sidebar, 4 Jimmy says they're all hating on Ebony because she sells well and has a big fan base. She had a war with Shannon and just won a belt. Women in general are toxic to good-looking, powerful women. Okay, that's 4's views and not one of the channels.
Okay.
Jack stumped on that one. Look, Jack don't know what to
say. I don't really know what to say to that. Like, okay.
That's what it show's all about, Carl, isn't it? People are allowed to come on and give their opinions.
You've got the matchmakers.
I think that's a good place to end the Bridges part, though. So moving on.
Yeah. Did we give our predictions, Carl? What was your prediction?
I said that I think Ebony Bridges I think she'll win a wide points decision.
Jack?
I'm going Bridges KO.
I'm going to go Bridges points as well. Okay.
Larry Liston, just to finish it off, he agrees with 4. I like Ebony Bridges as well. Think she can bring in more mainstream appeal to the women's division.
Just one little thing before we do move on. And you know, I've obviously given my opinions. You know, I think a lot of what Ebony Bridges has done so far with her career. I thought she looked quite nervous in the press conference.
I actually thought the opposite. I thought when they took the photos, I think the fact that O'Connell couldn't stop looking at her was a little bit. That to me shows fear. Because if you watch back the Jamie Mitchell and Shannon Courtney one, she kept doing that to Mitchell. But then when you look at the Nina Hughes and Jamie Mitchell one, Nina, as soon as they turned away to take the cameras, Nina never looked back at her. She just deadpan, like, oh, I'm just going to look at the camera for the promo shot.
Yeah.
O'Connell didn't. O'Connell couldn't take her eyes off Ebony, as if like she was almost a bit, I don't know if I can. I've got to not get shown up by you here.
Do you think she's
I think she's nervous.
Do you think she Ebony's in her head a little bit?
I don't want to say. I don't know if she's in her head or if O'Connell's got so angry and so bitter that she's kind of almost over her own. She's starting to wind herself up.
Right.
Because some of the comments were almost like borderline. Like, I'm glad you've got a psychology degree to back that up, Jack.
Moving swiftly on to what is a very
just before you do, we can't get away from this Bridges topic. So 4 says, just keeping it real, lads. I don't even like female boxing. Ebony made me a fan. Her weigh-ins have massive views. Lee Brown says, good evening, Lee. Cell block H fight.
What?
Prisoner cell block H.
That's a bit harshly, isn't it? Come on. That's a bit harsh. A bit disrespectful, in fact. But moving on.
Oh, right now I've just got the reference. Yeah, okay.
Moving on. To what is a very very dangerous fight, Carl. Josh Warrington is putting his IBF belt on against Luis Alberto Lopez, who a lot of casuals will have no idea about him.
Everyone in boxing is now saying this is a really risky fight.
Top rank have a lot of time for this fella,
and put a lot of money behind him. I might add.
They have. So a little bit of context to Lopez. He got beat by a guy called Ruben Villa, who has only lost to Navarrete. So that tells you the sort of level of fighter that he's been in with. He's a real top quality fighter.
I'm just going to pick a quick comment up in the side. So Larry Liston says, Lopez versus Warrington is a close fight on paper. Lopez is underrated with good power and could very well upset Warrington. Personally, not a fan of Josh, so wouldn't mind an upset. A lot of people are backing Lopez. A lot.
I'm gonna stick my neck out and say that if Warrington's not 100% on it, if he's not at his very, very best, this could very well be an upset. A very difficult night's work, even if he's at his best. I think this is. So, Jack, we'll come to you.
Yeah.
Firstly, are you surprised that this fight got made, considering Warrington's just come off of that broken jaw? Did you think he might get a bit of an easier fight before they put him in for these? Because they were talking about unifications after this. Obviously, you got Lee Wood by all accounts might.
Hang on, is this a voluntary? I just assumed this must have been a mandatory because I didn't think
it's a mandatory.
Yeah, I think he's a mandatory.
It is a mandatory because it frees up all next year for him to go away and do his unifications.
I wasn't aware of that.
there is a lot of people you'd pick before him.
Wasn't aware of that. I thought they'd
No,
just
I
Yeah,
don't think they
mandatory.
picked him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I tell you what, Lopez has built himself a little team over here as well. He's built himself a little team while he's been in camp over here. He's got Richard Farnan doing his cuts in the corner. He's built himself like a little English team. He had Kyle Nielsen was helping him get sparring partners in. So he's kind of taken good people from over here to help him as well, which is very clever. And I've seen a lot of American fighters do that in the past, where they take people who are good trainers or good at cut men or whatever over here and build them into their team. And having that around could actually give him a little bit of a psychological edge as well.
Oh my days. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm going full psychology.
No, I'm reading. No, it wasn't you, Jack. I'm reading a comment in the side from Mr. Brown.
I don't want to know, do I?
Well, I'll come on to it in a minute. Sorry, I interrupted you. Finish your analogy.
Yeah, but I'm basically, I think that he's already a very good fighter, and he's building himself an extended team around him that just makes this a genuinely 50-50 fight. If it was 60-40 in Warrington's favour before, it probably isn't now. It's probably a 50-50 fight, and it's not one that, as I say, that's why I knew it was a mandatory, because I knew that Warrington wouldn't have picked it. Not that Josh wouldn't have taken the fight, because obviously we're here and he's doing it.
fights anybody.
He'll fight anybody, but his team wouldn't have picked that because it's a tough fighter.
Yeah.
You know,
Carl,
I'm just going to put these comments. Let me just put these comments up before I give my view. So Larry says, lots of Mexican fans I spoke with talk very highly about Lopez. I hope the referee is watching out for Josh coming in with his head like he did against Kiko. Joe says Warrington's on the slide, and when it's not going his way, the head comes into play. I see him getting stopped. Lee Brown says, slightly off topic, I reckon you should have a Lee Wood jar like a swear jar for charity. And then 4 says, I'm worried. Let me just get it. I'm worried about Warrington. He's broken his jaw twice in 1 year. The Lara fights were rough, and if history had taught us anything, never underestimate an unknown Mexican. Example, Ruiz, Lara, etc. Some very good
I'm also
comments.
slightly worried that Andy doesn't make it out of Leeds alive if Warrington does lose.
Well, I agree with Joe. I've been saying I think Warrington's on the slide for a while. He's nowhere near the vintage Warrington. A lot of miles on the clock. But I still think he'll have just enough to win this fight. I think the Leeds fans, obviously, it's going to be a great atmosphere. I think this goes to points, but I think Warrington will nick it on points. But he can't keep going back to the well. There's not much left in that tank for me with Warrington.
I think this might be the last time he can go to that well.
when you start getting injuries like broken jaws, though, lads,
yeah,
and you're at this age, this end of your career, let's say, because he is coming to the end. He's probably only got
2 or 3 fights.
Yeah. I worry for him in this fight. I got to be honest.
He wasn't very convincing in the presser, was he? He wasn't very convincing. You know,
He sounded nervous.
He wasn't his usual thump his chest war kind of warrior, was he? Like the normal war cry that he gives to his Leeds fans. That wasn't there.
Well, the Leeds fans weren't there, were they?
No, well, I know it was a private presser just for media. But even so, Carl, he didn't come across like he 100% believed.
I'll tell you what it reminded me of. It reminded me of Hay in the second Bellew fight, where he didn't seem like where the flashness was there, but it wasn't genuine.
No, just to answer Lee. Lee, we are up for laughs tonight. We just don't find you very funny, fella. I'm sorry. Sorry, go on then, Andy.
Yeah, so
triggered all of us there.
I don't know. Lee, come on now. You know we're from Nottingham, and you know we think a lot of Lee Wood. And it's not like I'm not talking out of topic. This is Lee Wood's division. He's a champion in the division.
Lee Wood will be there on Saturday night.
Yeah. So he's a champion in the division. The likelihood is Josh Warrington comes through this fight. At some point down the line, them two are going to meet. So if I'm talking about Lee Wood in amongst a card and it's a Warrington card, they're in the same division. Why am I talking out of turn?
Being from Nottingham, if you don't bring something up at the end of this, I'm going to bring it up. So I'm just going to let you.
Don't worry, we will be.
You know what I'm saying, yeah.
Are you talking about the Hall of Fame by any chance, Jack?
Yeah. And I'm fair play to him for that, by the way.
I'm going to ask you a very difficult question regarding around that as well, Jack.
Oh, go
on. But yes, I feel a bit weary about this fight for Warrington. I really do. I agree with you, Carl. I don't think he's got peak left in him. I think he's just over the hill. And getting things like broken jaws when you're at this end of your career is very tough to overcome. He didn't look his confident self.
I'm starting to worry his jaw is a bit like Nassim Hamid's hands, where they're going to go every fight.
Yeah, well, the thing is, all he knows how to do is war, and that's not a bad thing. That makes him a great fighter, in my opinion. But like you've just said, you can't go to the well too many times and have that many wars and always come out of them. I don't know how hard this Lopez hits. That's going to be a defining factor in this fight for me. What sort of power has he got? If he's got decent power, then it makes it a very odd night's work, because Josh is the sort of fighter that likes to walk through shots to land his own.
The problem with Mexicans is they sit on your chest as well.
Yeah.
They sit on your chest and they bang away, and it's all it takes is one of those big shots to get through. Speaking to to a Mexican matchmaker the other day, they rate him higher than they rate Lara.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, and that's saying something.
Well, then Andy better take his tin helmet on.
Yeah, I mean, you might want to be taking something.
I don't know. That's a bit of a bold decision, because Lara's got that X factor of the big shot, hasn't her?
Yeah, but they just said as an overall fighter, they rate him more.
You want to be dropping sweet rappers so you know your way out that stadium, fella. Because if
I think wherever I park my car, I'm going to leave the engine running.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would, mate. Even with the current petrol prices, I'd still do that.
Well, it's coming round mine to watch the Evanesian fight. I'll be back in mine by about 10:30.
Yeah. I like ABBA.
It's going to be an interesting night, lads. I'm looking forward to it.
I've got the weigh-in for the Matt Job show, and then I don't know if we're all watching it together or if I'm going somewhere in Newcastle to watch it, or if I'm coming all the way back to mine to watch it. But I definitely am watching it just for the. And I'm just going to have a laugh if it all does go wrong, because I'll just be picturing Andy running, hightailing it out of this arena.
He's only got a bit of M1 to get down. Don't worry, Andy.
Yeah. It's whether or not he's got any windows in his car by the time he gets back.
There's nothing that says Nottingham on your veg plate,
yeah, there
is
isn't, is there?
No, luckily.
Yeah, probably leave the forest scarves at home.
Anyway, moving on then. We're done with that card, and then move on to David Evanesian.
Yes, mate.
So David Evanesian versus Crawford. The press conference is taking place earlier today. Obviously, it's out in Nebraska in Crawford's back garden. We won't bother with the undercard because the undercard isn't great, to be brutally honest. I'll hand it over to you first, Andy. Give us your thoughts on this fight.
Well, Crawford's right up there as pound for pound best for me. I think he's better than Spence. I think he's the best in that division by a country mile. In fact, what you're going to get from David Evanesian is a fighter that's going to give absolutely everything. and he's going to put it on Crawford. He'll walk through shots if he needs to. He's a dynamo. He's an animal, Evanesian. He's a come forward fighter that puts on pressure constantly. And you never know. How long ago was it Crawford last got put under pressure like that from a fighter?
Probably the Ricky Burns fight.
A long time ago, right?
Long time ago.
So you just never know. You never know. Even with a fighter as good as Crawford, there's only so long he's got great movement. He's got great skill and puts shots in from anywhere. No one's kidding anybody here. This is a real tough night's work. But for anyone to overlook David Evanesian in this fight, you're absolutely crazy. You're absolutely crazy if you think David Evanesian doesn't have a chance. Styles make fights. This is a brilliant fight of a clash of two styles. A come forward, aggressive bulldozer of a fighter against a slick, a counter-punching shot maker. It's brilliant. It's just brilliant. I can't wait to watch it. Fingers crossed I get back in one piece from Leeds.
or the two pieces are both in the car.
Yeah. So Jack,
I agree with a lot of what you've said, Andy. We've seen, obviously, as you know, we've been down to Calgary, Jim in Newark. We've watched David Evanesian in the ring at close quarters. The guy's an animal. He's an absolute animal. He's going to ask Crawford a lot of questions that he's not been asked for a long time. I've watched some footage today where, I'll be honest, some of the Crawford camp have been slightly disrespectful to
I saw that. It was all a bit weird. I don't really understand. There's no.
Yeah, there was mocking him while he was doing some. There was mocking him while he was doing some bad work, weren't there? Let's just hope that doesn't come back, to haunt them a little bit. They clearly don't know what they got in front. Clearly, the boxing public don't know what they got in front of him, because he's going to make Crawford work for everything.
Yeah.
Everything. And he's well and truly in this fight. Again, Crawford's a special talent, but people who are saying it's a shutout and all this crap, they're in for a rude awakening on Saturday night. Do you want to pick some comments up, Andy?
Yeah, so Thor makes a really good point. Bud versus Ava is a good fight, considering Bud's coming off of a 1 year layoff and isn't with a big promoter. PBC have history of not wanting to make Bud versus
that must be Errol Spence Jr. I'd imagine.
Errol Spence Jr. I think, as Bud has to keep busy. It's got a really good point there that Crawford's been out of the ring for a year. That could be a defining factor in this fight. So Joe's put David Evanesian has a small chance. Porter did well against Crawford, and Ava has a similar style. No, he doesn't. His style's nowhere near the same as.
Yeah, I was going to say that they're almost polar opposites.
But I'm still expecting a Crawford KO. But would like David to do well. I'm not sure I agree with the Porter and Evanesian having this similar sort of styles. Evanesian's a much more aggressive come forward fighter than Porter.
So I'll just pick Thor's comment. Evanesian has improved a lot over the last few years with his new training team. Ava coming off a few big knockout wins and a top 10 guy, an ex-champion. Most Americans are casuals, so don't know.
Makes a good point there. Come on then, Jack. What do you think, mate?
Look, I still make Crawford the favourite, okay? So before anyone in the sidebar jumps at me, Ava can win this fight. Do I think he will? Probably not, but my heart kind of wants him to, because I think how great. And having met Carl, he's a really nice guy, and obviously he gave me a chance to put a fight on Sky and everything. So having met Carl, he's a really nice guy. I genuinely think the way I think that I look at it is Crawford's very good, but if age really has caught up to Crawford at all, Ava will get to him. If Crawford is absolutely still at his absolute prime and best, he will beat Avanesian. But I don't think he stops him. I think if he's going to beat him, it'll be on points.
Yeah.
So, a couple of comments inside. Joe says Porter is a front foot pressure fighter. If that's not similar, what is? Just park that before I talk to the others. Just pick up the other comments. Larry Liston says, I think it will be more competitive than people think. However, still got Crawford winning late in the fight. Probably 9th or 10th round. Technical knockout. I'm assuming he thinks Ava. Ava is a very solid European fighter. Oh, sorry, yeah, David. 4 said Bud is 35. Bud is 35 and being out nearly 13 months. It'll be a physical fight.
That's what I just said, basically, is if that age catches up to him. That
Good evening, Ryan, by the way.
The thing that someone said about Porter being similar to I kind of get what he means, but like they're not the same in that when Porter was doing it, he was doing it to come forward to land the big shot. Ava's doing it as a pressure fighter.
Yeah, it's a different thing.
Sits on you. It's not sits on you and lands combinations. It's whereas Porter was get in, land the one big shot, come out again.
Yeah.
And that's the difference.
Yeah, it is, Joe.
It's a nuanced thing. So yes, he's a come forward fighter, but he's coming forward for a very different reason.
Yeah.
Like Ava's not a huge one punch knockout artist.
No. David Avanesian's gonna put it on you, sit on your chest, throw shots while he's inside, and wear you down.
He breaks you up, then Ava. He'll break you up.
He reminds me like of one of those fights. He almost has the Mexican style of landing on the inside. When he comes in, he lands all his shots are on the inside. He lands a combination of shots on the inside as opposed to just one big shot that puts you out. And I think that he'll break you down to the body if you're slow.
So I think the best way around in this part of it, let's just go to predictions then before we make a bit of an announcement. So, Andy, we'll come to you first. What's your prediction?
My head tells me Crawford on points. My heart tells me David Avanesian, because of his long layoff and because of his age, David Avanesian has a lot of success and gets to Crawford at some point. But I've got to go with my head. I think Crawford has a lot of difficulty in the fight. There's a lot of times he's in a lot of trouble, but I think his skill gets him out of it in the end. I think he wins on points.
Jack?
I'm going to go Crawford unanimous decision. Same as Andy. I want so badly for Ava to get on the end of it and that be sort of for Carl and for and stuff. But I just can't. I can't see that unless Crawford turns up and he's really, really been affected by age and the layoff. I think he's just going to have enough.
Just before I give my version, Ryan said Bud will happily take a few shots to land a KO. Great counterpunch, so mid-round KO for me. Joe says Crawford KO Sadler. Lee Brown said levels again, isn't it? Ava's quality, but Crawford is elite. Stop short of giving a prediction, though, I noted. So the way I think it'll play out, I think Avanesian's stock's going to rise after this fight.
Regardless.
I think he has success in the fights at stages, but I'm a bit like Andy. Unfortunately, I think he's going to lose on points. But again, I think he'll prove to the world that he is a world-class fighter and he can hang with these so-called elite fighters, is my view. So I think he can't come out of this a loser, really, Ebenezer, in my view, in terms of his profile. So that's the way I think it will play out.
You know what? Can I just add something onto that, Cole? There's lots of fighters at the top end of that division that Avanesian beats.
There is.
You can argue Spence. He might not beat Spence, but then
Ugas.
again, he beats Ugas.
Yep.
I tell you what, I'd like to see if let's say for hypothetically Avanesian loses, I'd quite like to see him versus McKinson.
Yeah, great fight.
That'd be a great fight. To be honest, if that actually thingies, if there was actually a show.
McKinson's with Boxer at the minute, isn't there?
Sorry?
McKinson's with Boxer at the minute, isn't there? He's in Bournemouth in a few weeks.
Deal. It's a free agent 1-fight deal.
Is that a 1-fight deal with Boxer, is it?
I imagine he'll sign a long-term deal, and then so who's Ava? Is Ava with Warren still?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe stay on a free agent and do that fight then. If Avanesian doesn't win, I don't know. But it's just a fight I'd be interested in doing. I'd be interested in seeing doing. I doesn't make that sound like I'm going to try and make it. I'm not. But, well.
So Ryan says a loss on points would get him a boots fight. Easy, massive win and profile rises with even a points loss. So basically, saying his profile's going to rise.
Yeah, I think you're right. You and Ryan are both right. No matter what happens in this fight, David's stock's going to rise because you're fighting an elite fighter. I think he gets. There's a very good chance that Spence comes calling to David Avanesian after this because
that's possible.
There's a comparison there, then, isn't there?
Yeah.
If Bud fights him and it goes to points and it's a tough night's work, Spence's team might go, hold on a minute, let us have that fight. Let's see where Spence is.
Funny enough, if he wins, I don't think they will come calling.
No, I don't think anyone. If he wins, mate, if he wins, everybody in that division, everyone in that division are going to go and hide somewhere.
So just to finish this segment off, me and Andy are recording an interview later on tonight with somebody very closely connected to this fight. I'm not going to name who it is until after we've recorded it, but it'll be dropping on the channel at some point tomorrow in preparation for the fight. So, Jack, I understand you wanted to bring something up before we finish. So this is your moment, Jack.
Yeah, I'm going to say it. As you two lads are from Nottingham, congratulations, Carl Froch, on becoming a member of Canastota. I know he's not officially one until he actually goes in, but Hall of Fame. So I mean, nobody can say he hasn't earned it. He has. He went in with everyone, didn't he? So,
he did. Yeah, he did.
All right, he came up short against Ward, but everybody else and Kessler on the first one. But you know, he's winning with absolutely everyone.
Jack, seeing as though you brought it up,
yeah,
where does Cole Froch rank in the best super middleweights, British super middleweights of all time?
British ones.
And let's include, just for argument's sake, let's include Nigel Benn and Chris Eubank.
Are we including what they did at super middleweight, or are we doing?
No, just at super middleweight.
Just overall as fighters.
So we'll include Eubank, we'll include Ben, we'll include who else is there?
I mean, do we include Billy Joe because of the fact he was super middleweight world champion?
If you want,
in there, not that it'll matter to me.
If you want,
to be honest, I think Froch should probably be above him, but so I would say probably top 5, definitely, arguably top 3.
Who have you got above him then? If he's top 3,
top 5? Ryan, have a day off.
Potentially for me, maybe Cal. I would have Calzaghe at 1, personally, and I know that's going to go down badly with you two, but I'd have Calzaghe at 1, and then
You know just why you get splinters out your arse? Let me just pick a couple of comments up in the side. It gives you a bit more time to think.
Calzaghe at
So
1. Possibly.
Ryan O'Rourke said a prime Callum Smith would beat Froch. And Joe says top 5 just behind Groves. Bit of a
Joe's got to be on a wind up.
Joe's on a wind up there.
That's a very good question from Ryan O'Rourke though, because I consider Callum Smith a light heavy, not a super middle. I think he's best at light heavy. That would be some fight at super middle.
Yeah, see, that's what. Then for me, probably Eubank and then Froch, and then probably Ben after that.
So run us down them again then, Jack. How's your audio?
So I would have Calzaghe, Eubank, Froch, Ben. And then 5, I probably would have Callum Smith, to be fair. No, 5, I probably would have Billy Joe, actually. 6, Callum Smith.
So Joe says, Joe in the sidebar says Michael Watson would have beaten them all.
Yeah, but Watson, wasn't the Watson fight
middleweight, Watson was.
And I would argue Watson of the 3 was probably the best middleweight.
I'm assuming he means Michael Watson. Can you just put Watson?
Yeah, of course he does. Yeah. Michael Watson was absolutely outstanding, mate, but he was a middleweight, so we can't really include him in this.
Yeah, I mean, I've chatted to him. And to me, he was the best of the 3.
See, I don't agree with Ryan O'Rourke. I've given it some reflection, and I think Carl Froch would have beat Callum Smith at 168.
I do. At 168, yes. I agree with you that Callum potentially could be better at 175.
So Jim has given his 5. He's gone Calzaghe, Ben, Eubank, Froch. He's put you. No, so sorry. Let me reread that because I had to read it twice.
Eubank Jr.
He's on a wind up in there. Calzaghe, Eubank. No, see, I'm getting that excited. Calzaghe, Ben, Eubank Jr., Froch, and Eubank Senior. And Billy Joe Saunders. Oh, he's not finished here. And Billy Joe Saunders beats Callum Smith. Stop smoking crack. I suggest you might want to put it down.
I mean, to be fair, for me, Billy Joe was the best of that era, and outside of Canelo. So that's why I would always say that.
I hope that Thor's trolling. I really do, because if not, I was actually starting to think that he was quite switched on when it comes to his boxing comments. My God.
Jesus. I mean, if you've got a top 5 that has...
So, Jimmy, I've got to pick these up now. Sorry, Jack. Jimmy, I'm going to call you Jimmy, not Thor. Jimmy says Eubank Jr. is better than his dad. Much better gas tank and speed.
Oh, behave yourself, mate. His dad's a 2-weight world champion. What's Eubank Jr. ever done?
Criticise me for having Froch above Ben there. I didn't think anyone was going to bring Chris Eubank Jr. into the conversation.
Are you best mates with Eubank Jr. or something?
Well, it makes my comments when I talk about Froch beating Calzaghe, it seem mild, doesn't it? Joe says Groves would have stopped Billy Joe. Come on. I'm not sure about that.
I don't think Groves would have hit Billy Joe. I don't think Groves could have got a glove on him.
I mean, I'm going to say something. I don't think Billy Joe's best weight is middleweight. Super middleweight is not the same.
I agree.
Oh no, I agree with you. He's a better middleweight, but I still think he was he was probably the best super middleweight we had at one point.
But Groves was limited. Let's have it right. He picked up that belt at Bramall Lane, didn't he? Against a bang average opponent. Groves was limited.
Was he like his 4th attempt at the world title?
Did he not beat Chudanov for the belt?
He did.
All right. Well, to be fair, Chudanov's not bad.
Yeah, but come on, Jack. He ain't Jack, he ain't elite, is he? He ain't a Kessler or someone like that.
Well, he gave Kessler one of his best fights, but the Chudanov he's been.
Did he beat him?
Well, according to most of the boxing.
No. Did he beat him?
Are we talking about George Groves here? We're talking about George Groves here, aren't we?
George Groves, yeah.
Talking about George Groves.
Yeah.
We was at Bramall Lane and I didn't want to beat Chudanov for that title.
Yeah, we were.
Yeah, and you know.
But what I was going to say, Carl, is the version of Chudinov he beat was old anyway.
And he made
that was my argument. I was basically going to agree with you, but I was just
all right. Okay, Jack, I apologise then. Yeah. Okay, I apologise.
Yeah. Go on then, Carl. What's your top 5?
Yeah, so I'm going. See, personally, I don't like Calzaghe's resume. I've said this before. I know he beat some good fighters, but he was very old when he got in the ring with him. And then look for the rest of his resume, and there's not that many big names here, of my opinion. So before everyone starts going man in the sidebar and hits me up on Twitter like last time, I'm going Froch 1, Calzaghe 2. I'm more of a Eubank Senior fan, so I'm going Eubank Senior 3, Nigel Benn 4. And I'll be honest with you, I quite like Steve Collins, and people slag me off for that. I'm going to put Steve Collins in at 5.
What super middle?
Yeah.
I mean,
although Callum Smith, the fifth position's quite fluid.
Steve Collins for me, though, Carl. Steve Collins for me, he beat an old Eubank.
Yeah,
and he beat a very, very old Ben. Both way past the primes, and that's what made his career look better than it was.
I think you can't. I flip my fifth choice. I do often think Callum Smith, because although I say he's better at light heavy, he still did remarkably well at super middle. You know, so that fifth slot often gets changed.
Yeah, that fifth slot is very, very close. I'll give you.
So I'm going.
I think we've all said Froch would be in the top 3, and because the reason he's in that top 3 is his resume.
Let me just read this out, Jack. Sorry. So Jimmy, otherwise known as Paul, says Groves beating undefeated DeGale, Eubank Jr. battered Froch in the first fight. I don't know what he's watching. Chudinov should have been undefeated, and he smashed Murray. He won British, European, and world title and robbed against Jack.
Larry says, Jack.
Right, the only one I agree with him on is the robbed against Badu Jack, but
I really don't understand these comments where they say he battered Froch as well. You know,
he did. Go. Come on.
He did in the first.
He did. In that first fight,
he did.
He battered Froch for 7 rounds.
Battered is a strong word. Battered is a strong word.
No, it's not. No. He battered him around the ring for 7 rounds.
No. Larry said Steve Collins was a great. Lee Brown said prime Calzaghe beats prime Froch. Ryan O'Rourke says Froch over Calzaghe. Get the fuck out of here. Collins top 5. You just downgraded Calzaghe for beating all the fighters. Fair enough, Ryan.
Can I just justify what I just said there?
Go on.
He battered Cole Froch around the ring for 7 rounds after knocking him virtually senseless in the first. Any other fighter at super middleweight would have been out cold and wouldn't have got up off that punch. I believe that was the very, very, very best George Groves. I don't think George Groves was a better fighter after that night. I don't think it was. Not once.
And also, a point I would make is if Howard Foster wouldn't have stopped that fight when he did, he could well have ended George Groves' career that night, because Froch would have hurt him, because he was gone.
I will say this as well, though. Carl Froch was nowhere for about 4 rounds. Groves was landing on him clean numerous times in them rounds, and he couldn't put him away. Now, the only chance you've got against Carl Froch is when he's in a position where he can't properly defend himself. And that was what he was like for the first four or so rounds in that fight. And Groves wasn't good enough to put him away.
Did you?
And let's have it. Let me just say this as well. Carl Froch wasn't switched on for that fight. He thought he got an easy night's work. He didn't train properly. He wasn't right. And it proved it in the second fight. When he was switched on, when he knew how difficult Groves was, and he trained properly and he was switched on,
Made light work of him in that second fight.
Saw the results in that second fight.
So Joe says,
back to my top 5.
Let me just pick these comments up because I want this to be balanced now. I don't mind taking the hits. So Joe suggests Carl take them rose tinted glasses off, go back and watch the fight. Plus Foster was a disgrace. I'll stand by it, Joe. You might want to take your glasses off when you watch the fight back. Groves was hurt, and I'm telling you, Groves' career would have ended that night if Foster wouldn't have waved it off, and I'll stand by that. Lee Brown says Foster did Groves a favour. Fully agree. Ryan O'Rourke says he made Groves millions stopping the fight. Four says Howard Foster was voted the worst British ref of the last decade. It was the university called a bad call. The ref saved Frotch. Lee Brown said if it hadn't have stopped, it would have late that round, and they would never have fought at Wembley. Go on, Andy. Give us your top five.
Yeah. So my top five. Joe Calzaghe at number one. I think people sleep on the fact that his resume doesn't look as good as it should, but that's you gotta appreciate. Nobody wanted to fight him, so you can't put him down as a fighter just because nobody wanted to fight him. I think that Calzaghe had a brilliant chin himself, and I think he would have outpointed Frotch. It would have been a war, but it would have outpointed Frotch. He would have landed more than Frotch, just because he was a bit quicker. Frotch at number
was
2.
Still quite raw then as well.
Sorry?
Frotch was still quite raw then.
Yeah, because it was early on, wasn't it? Yeah.
We're not saying that it would have been prime versus prime, because that could never have happened.
No. So Calzaghe number 1, Frotch number 2, Nigel Benn number 3, Chris Eubanks Senior number 4, and
There's been some good ones.
Callum Smith at 5.
I tell you, none of us have put in Canelo.
Who?
Canelo at super middle.
No, we're only talking
Brits.
shot.
Doing Brits. Sorry, I'm losing the plot. It's all these comments on the side. It's people talking nonsense about George Groves. It's frazzling my brain.
I mean, unless Canelo suddenly got British citizenship, in which
right,
case,
Jack, I think I might have realised that. Yeah, I've said it now, Jack. Yeah, you don't need to rub it in.
Joe's put a comment there that I can kind of see where he's coming from. He's saying that Groves, when Groves got stopped, he wasn't as hurt as Frotch was in the first round, and I think that's right.
True.
I think that's right, but I do believe if it had gone on much longer, Frotch would have stopped him in that round.
Not only stopped him, it would have finished his career.
He would have finished his career.
It would have. It would have hurt him badly. It would badly hurt Groves was.
He would have stopped him in that round.
I'm gonna remind you of something, Carl. De Gale was more hurt by Badu Jack in their fight than I will maintain this to the day than Frotch ever hurt Groves. And De Gale went on to win a world title after that, defend his world title after that. And because De Gale didn't know where he was when Badu Jack put him on the floor.
Well, we don't. I mean, it was badly hurt. We don't know what Groves' extent that badly hurt was because he got waved off.
De Gale thought.
You don't know how badly hurt Groves was. Did you have a conversation as to if you knew where he was? All right, George, do you know where you are? None of us know how badly it was badly hurt. So you can't make that comparison, can you? So,
a couple of more comments in the sidecar. Do you want to get it?
Yeah. So 4 said, didn't Eubanks Senior get stopped by Thompson in the last fight?
He was also by that point, and that was at cruiserweight.
He's also saying, would Junior get stopped by a guy of Thompson level? I'm not sure you can draw them comparisons. Ryan says, Jimmy, give up. Liam Smith beats Eubank Jr., so are we top 5? I agree. Joe says 4 can't be having any disrespect of the cat.
I just want to hold on, Cole. Hold on. I just want to go back to that because we kind of skirted over it. That Thor's put Eubank Jr. above Eubank Senior, above Carl.
I think he's on the wind up.
Well, yeah, maybe if he is, then fine. But if he's not, if he's actually being serious, what has Eubank Jr. actually won? In reality, what's he won?
No.
He's won the IBO, hasn't
he? He's won the IBO super middleweight title, the one they all want to win, clearly.
Who was that against?
That's not a dig at the IBO. Please.
Who was that against? Who was that against?
What, you're asking me who he won the IBO? I honestly can't remember.
Answers on a postcard in the sidebar?
Somebody want to tell me who that was? Because actually, I think it might have been the Spike O'Sullivan fight.
No, it wasn't.
No, that was a defence, wasn't
it?
Do
you actually know the answer to this? I don't.
No, but I know Spike was a defence, wasn't it?
Was it? Oh, great. Although Spike O'Sullivan's not bad. I don't know why I'm having a dig. I quite like Spike.
Wasn't it an old German fighter?
Oh, Abraham. Oh,
yeah.
Jesus. I didn't realise there was a belt on that.
I'm sure it was.
Oh, great. Okay. I mean, Abraham was actually a half-decent fighter when
he was in his prime, he was.
Not by the time Eubank Jr.
Not by the time Eubank Jr. fought him, he was a punch bag.
Yeah.
Andy Gale.
Yeah. All right.
So, Andy, you're going to bring it to a close. I mean, all the comments on the side have been great.
I want to ask you two, best British fighter never to win a world title.
Never to win?
Yeah.
It's a good question,
know who mine is.
Very good question.
I'll give you the answer next week.
I'll tell you, just off the top of my head.
Just off the top of my head, that's a difficult question to answer.
Off the top of my head, I'll go Martin Murray.
Mine's Kevin Mitchell, but Martin Murray's a good shout.
There's been much better fighters than that won world titles.
Who's yours, Jack?
Mine's Kevin Mitchell, but I think Martin Murray's a good shout, to be fair, because he did beat.
He got robbed.
He got robbed in the Martinez fight.
Right, Andy, I'll bring it to a close then. Thanks for all the comments on the side, guys. Cheers, Jack. And I'll hand it over to Andy.
Yeah. Fantastic show again, guys. It's all banter, by the way. Anyone in the sidebar, please don't take anything we say seriously. It's all fun. We do appreciate everything that you say on the show. And it's all about opinions at the end of the day. It's all about opinions. It's all about who you like, styles you like, and what you like as a fight. Please all join us again next week, 7 o'clock, usual time, usual day. We'll see you all soon.